Alright, welcome to the week, what is it, 3 assignment? Sorry for this being a week late. Just had a lot of stuff with senior project, this work, other things coming up. Um, Also, very excited about it. Got a new computer, PC, got a new microphone for it. I do not have a uh, video camera yet, but I'm looking at getting one of those. And then I'll be all set with my new setup. Um, Very excited. It's a very powerful system. But anyways, back to senior project and shaders in this class. Um, so for this week, we were supposed to be doing a messing around with the game manager, adding stuff to it, whatnot. Well, did that in spring term. Also helped some people along with theirs this term, make sure that they understood how to do it, what they were supposed to do, um, such as like Malcolm, Annie, um, whatnot. So now shaders. So this week I was gonna do, because the other week I did ice. This week I'm doing more fire, hot things, and then I also threw in some water just because I thought it'd be nice. Because the in between of ice and fire, water, gotta have it. Um, so here is a water depth shader, as you can see right here. Based on where I have my camera, it'll get closer or further away from the block, and it's really just the depth. So the deeper the block is, the darker it gets. And my thought with this was like it could be used in a sink since our game's going to be in a home. But for future uses, this could be used at like the beach or any deep body of water. So you could have different effects. Like you could hide something down here, you don't know what it is, you go down, and you're like, it's a cube. But yeah, so you can see that it changes as you come up, um, different heights. So let's look at it. So we have our depth, which determines how far down something can be before it gets really touched by the shallow watercolor. So we'll leave that one dark. This one I'll leave it about half, right? Then strength is, okay, so how strong is the, um, at 0 it just kind of breaks. But how strong is the gradient going to be? So once we get about here, we see that it's a pretty strong gradient. And then here it's like there's almost nothing. This shows just a little bit based on the ripples. And I'll turn that back down. So then we go shallow watercolor, deep watercolor, main normals. So this is just for the water and the reflections. Um, Reflections aren't really working. I don't know why. So I'll have to look into that. Smoothness, because it's nice to just have, and then displacement. So like, you're never gonna have water that looks this crazy. Um, wrong one. But you can have some smaller ripples, right? Or, well, again, sorry, too far. So like I said, mine could be like for a sink, hiding something down on the bottom. So you would just have very, very small ripples going through. Or you could even have no ripples. It's just a plane. But the having no movement is like very boring and small. So even just like 0.3 is enough to just give it just a little bit of movement. Or like 0.6. I'll do 0.7 for now. But yeah, so like it's just enough movement to where you like see that it's water, it's moving. And then you have the different ripples. Yeah, that's water depth. It's using a go to the shader graph. All right. So it is using screen position and getting the depth of the screen position. So that's what's causing this sort of blue to darker blue. And then also, so up, sample textures, texture. Yeah, so those are the normals. But it's with this, that's what's causing the sort of movement and the vertex position, or the vertex displacement. And then down here, where it has the albedo and the alpha quip. So the alpha quip has to be done. That's what sort of makes the water look like water. And the this all right here is for the color. Now this is a thing. Let me go to a quad. Oh, that actually doesn't look great. Oh, custom mesh. Let me go to my plane. There we go. Yeah, so I made a plane that has more subdivisions, so this stuff works and looks nicer. So yeah, there's that one. Then we move on over. So like I said, I was doing fire this week. And if you know how lava works, it gets very, very hot at the top. And it's very bright. And then when it cools down, it turns into this brown, black, sort of just like sludge almost. So yeah, so here's my take on that. So this is just normals that are causing these different shinies. I can like change them, make it look really different, really weird. Put that back. There you go. So normals can really affect how this lava works, how it looks. And so yeah, so it goes from the very bright to the dark, with the movement in between. And there's a ton of stuff that goes into that with different. So I use HGRs for intensity of the Fresnel, so that will do the brightness and the Fresnel on the edges. I can, so like scale, that's just basic. I always have scale. So I can really move the lava speed up, so like very fast lava, very slow lava, also backwards lava. Yeah, so down here with this stuff, so I also wanted to add, when you have lava, as I said, it turns into the black sludgy stuff, but when it's still hot, it's moving, it's flowing. So I have it set up so that there's vertex displacement where it's brighter, and where it's towards the end, there's none or very little. So I can turn this up, which kind of gets it crazy. Turn it back down, and then the distance. So if I turn this down to 0, it still lets the ripples get all the way down to the end. But I can control where in the from where I want the ripples to show up. So if I want ripples all the way down to here, I can do that. But I like it just mainly on the edge. So yeah, so that's lava, and that's the shader right here. So that's crazy. Let me go back to the plane. So yeah. Let's make this bigger. So this one I use some of the extra things in Shader Graph. I want to try start using those more, just so when I let other people look at these, they can see like what's happening. So wave vertex displacement. This is the thing that I do. I have in there, but I took it off because this is how I was referencing the waves, the shakiness, for vertex displacement. But instead, I used a different version that takes from the normal map of the object. It makes it go from a white to a dark, and that's how I got that effect. Then, so this is just a ton of stuff. I had to close it all because there's so much. But it's based off time, and it's sort of like the waves from the water. Don't say. Sort of like the waves from the water, where it needs the time to run through the noise maps to change things, move things around. Plus, all of the colors in the background are done through all those nodes. So then I can close this one, move on to this one. This one is actually in the project. All of them are in the project, but the other two are set up in a different scene, so I wanted to show that one there. But so here is logs that have embers or fire on it. And if I turn this on, get a nice little fire. Nice little homey feel. Thinking of adding this into the game because we're gonna have ice and fire. But I had a thought. I was like, wait, we're gonna have ice. Why? I don't want a fire crackling the whole time. Well, I looked into. Well, I didn't really look into it. I just kind of thought, and I was like, let me see what I can do. Because I know a lot of stuff we talked about in spring was you make a few shaders. What can you do when you mix them? What can that create? So I have this and this frost or fire thing. Now all the embers are turned off, and now they're covered in snow. And it's only on the top faces, and the bottom is still just wood. If we go back in, now it's back to the embers. I made it so the embers only happen on the sort of creases, the inside parts of the wood, and they run through. I made the shader completely by myself too, no tutorials, which I was very proud of. So I have like normal multipliers. That's again one of those things that I always just add in. Smoothness, which is for the wood. Wood darkness, so just in case you want like black wood, white wood, I can kick up the intensity. I could also color the wood with this. So I mean, if you want purple wood, you can purple wood. But anyway, so there's that, and then the ember color again. You want pink fire, you got pink fire. Like it's a really cool effect actually. Then we go down to emission strength. So this is just how bright or dim the emission is. I did 3. You could do like 10, which gives you some crazy colors. Get back down to 3. Then burn direction. So this I use to sort of affect where it burns. So if I turn up the Y, and it gets very harsh onto the Y. Turn the Z, it like turns it and takes it to the side. But I have it sort of turned towards the camera out because if this is in a fireplace, the idea is that it is frosted over at first and you could like go through the fireplace, but once you light the fire back on, you're not going to be able to go back into the fireplace. Burn strength, so that can affect how bright it is again. Frost direction, which I just have at 1 because it's on top, and then that's back to frost and fire. And I also have a script, not that one, this one. That, let me just make sure. Yeah, so if I go and put this on here, and I grab this material, cool, and I play, I think the camera's set up. No, the camera's not set up. Let me make sure the camera's on it. Camera should also have this script on it. There we go. All right. So now I can play it. And if, yep, there we go. So it's, I have it set on a sine wave change just to show from snow. And then it's going to turn back into the fire. Or at least it's supposed to. Yeah, there it goes. Yeah. So like it melts it away and then now you're back on fire. And then we would just do one of these. And this is my last shader for this week, is a fire shader. It's on a plane, so like if you look at it sideways, you can't really see it. That's why I have so many stacking. But again, like if you look at it just from one direction, like that, I think like just looks really nice. One of the things that I did get feedback from other people was trying to make it so the embers only affect like where the fire itself is. Um, I have to look into that more. I sort of have an idea of how to do it, but also like I had other stuff to work on, so I couldn't really do that yet. But yeah, if we want to just look at the fire real quick, I will turn off the logs and all of them except for one. All right, cool. So now we have this fire, and we can adjust it so that the reason why I had two different types of fire is because one of them has a different black and white map, so it gives a different sort of response. So this is the candle fire. I can change its colors and whatnot. Doesn't like blue. Huh, cool. Direction speed. So like how fast is it rippling? Distortion amount. So you could get some really like wacky effects with this. Distortion scale. So like very low, it's not really moving. Turn it very high, it ripples. Distortion or dissolve speed. That's the extra things running through it. That's a Verneuil. Dissolve scale. That's the Verneuil scale pretty much. Dissolve amount. You don't want to go negative with that. But you can like take away some of the fire. Then emission multiplier, so how brighter blackness it has. So yeah, that's all of the ones from this week. And one other thing, there in Unity, or not Unity, Maya, I set up a thing for automation. It's this little guy right here, big script. I had to look a lot of stuff. But so say I create a cube. I'll just create a basic cube, size it up, whatever. Cube. I'll select it, and I will go and I'll click my script that I created. It'll take a second to pow, and now I have this. Let me open up a project. That'll be better. Open scene. Lovely grandfather clock, right? So I can select it, click here. It automatically names it based off of the scene name. And then I can choose whatever assets folder I want. I said Unity assets just because it's going to be for an FBX exporter. But also I have the choose substance painter exe because if I click this button and apply, it will automatically open Substance Painter. Not only that, it will also automatically import my object into Substance Painter. So that took me a while, but I gave it to my team for senior project. It's been sort of helpful. We haven't really gotten into modeling and making too many things yet, but I'm excited to see how people work with it, and then what things I can also add to make things easier and better for our artists. I'm technical director, so that just makes sense for me. So I can close that, and that's about it. That's been my week.